Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Renu. So today I'm gonna talk about last minute queries. At the same time, good news to share with you all. And I will also be covering step by step how you can fill up the immigration form again, just to make sure that there should not be any doubt or any room of confusion. A lot of people had confusion which all forms has to be filled up by the principal applicant and the spouse and then children. So I will be covering step by step more descriptive information on it. At the same time, I will be talking about a few more formats like the one we have discussed earlier and how you can attach it with your application, like from the beginning till end. So this is like all in all one video where you will get like a thorough process how to submit the documents. Sometimes people find it difficult, like when they are actually filling up the information, how they can attach it by adding or taking the printout and then scan it and attach it with your application. I will also be covering a little more about the NOCs, few more doubts. So that would also be there. Last minute queries, again, people still have confusion about the hours. So just a little more clarity on that. So let's quickly jump on to, the main topic here. So I'll be covering first the essential workers category. So before dive in, these are the areas we will be looking at. So workers in Canada healthcare. So last update is 20,000 is the number of application they will be accepting, and 2,113 has been accepted so far. Workers in Canada essential non-healthcare, it's 16,734 that has been received. Again, there's not much of a spike here. So we are expecting good results. Now, this is the good news I'm going to talk about. And I did discuss it my previous video day before. So recent international graduate from a Canadian institution. So 40,000 was actually the benchmark and it was filled. So people have started getting PR. So amazing thing is that whosoever has submitted their application in one go, like without leaving any room of confusion, they got their PR, like permanent resident, within 1.5 months. Just imagine, like those who have applied on May 6th, they have got the PR. But no worries, we still have a long way. It's just a PR. So, and you will get through for sure. Now, congratulations to whosoever has got it. Now, in case if you have any last minute confusion, I am going to advise you to please call IRCC customer care number. The number is 1888 242 2100. The lines are open from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday to Friday Eastern Time in Canada. Now, how you can put all the documents as per the requirement. So I'm going to clear all your doubts. I hope I will be. But again, if you have any confusion, please write back to me. So now the first and foremost is the generic application form. Who should fill that? This is the form I'm talking about. MM0008 form. Now, this form has to be filled by the principal applicant only. Economic and then category under which you are applying, please make sure you put TR to PR pathway only. I have covered it in descriptive format, like step by step. Please go to and check. My video description is in the detail is in description box below. So you just have to put the information in there and fill it up as per your information. Now, previous countries and residents, in case if it's not, just put it no, and then scroll it down, and then you have to add the dependent. Now, dependent, when we say, it's for the spouse. So if you are actually married, you have to put your spouse name over here, first name and the last name. In case if you don't have the last name, you can put the first name as, like, for say, Renu as a given name and the Renu in the family name. Just make sure that it should be in sync with your passport. That's mandatory. And in case if you're not married, just remove the dependent and just, as per the instructions here, if you see, it has to be validated with 2D barcodes. Please, guys, this generic application form has to be validated with 2D barcodes. Now, if you're missing information, the fields you need to fill out to be outlined be in red and with a description of what it is missing. So in case you're thinking, oh, there's a technical glitch, it's not. You need to make sure that you recheck your information before putting it. Now, if a barcode does not appear, find out the reason, like why, and otherwise you don't need to process it. Just make sure that you validate it with 2D barcodes. That's mandatory requirement. Now, as I mentioned, in case if you're not married, just remove this dependent form and then process it. The second form is MM0008 form. That's again a dependent one. It has to be filled by the principal applicant again. you have to put the family name, given name, have you ever used. Now this is actually for this, in case if you are married and if you have kid more than 5. So in that case you can actually fill up this form here, and you just have to fill up the information like additional dependents. That's what it says, declaration form. In case if it's not, I'm sure that most of you will not need that. Now the second form actually is IMM 5669E. Now, this actually has to be filled by principal applicant, but at the same time, when the spouse would be filling it up, she or he has to fill it from her perspective. Now, let's quickly dive in here. Now, additional dependent declaration form. The principal applicant must answer each question on behalf of each of your dependent. Okay, so that's for the 0008 dependent form. Now, this is the one I'm talking about, the Schedule A background declaration IMM 5669. This has to be filled by the principal applicant's spouse and dependent child in case if they are at the age of 18 or over. So this is the form I'm talking about, Schedule A. This has to be filled by the principal applicant at the same time from spouse. Now, when you fill principal applicant, just click on this, put your name, full name, personal details, your all the information. Again, it's all self-explanatory, and you can check the video out. In my previous lot, I've already covered that. Now sometimes when your education go beyond this table, you can always take the printout of this and then attach it with this form. Okay, so there's an option where you can actually click on additional information, so you can attach this forms as in the second copy, and then put the information like from, to, institution name, city, and then type of certificate, field of study. And this is what exactly I used to do, like when we were I was associated with the immigration industry. So it was a paper based process, so we used to take the printout of this and attach it here, right? So you don't have to take the printout of like whole form, just this sheet. Now if it's like personal history also, this column might not be enough for those who've been working for like maybe like or maybe out for last 10 years. So you can always again take the printout of this form, this particular page, and then attach it. Like this page is like 2, so you take the printout of 2 and then scan it and then attach it. This is how you have to do it, and then just follow the instructions out there. And then addresses, again, in case if the addresses, the column is falling short, you can always do the same process, attach an additional form. That's how it has to be done. Now the next form is IMM 506E. Now this form again has to be filled up by the principal applicants for additional family information like name, marital status, and all that information. So this additional family information, the principal and then spouse also have to fill up the information. So this has to be filled by the principal applicant at the same time by the spouse. Now let's go over to this page. This is the form, additional family information, IMM 5406. This has to be filled by both of you. Now Schedule 3, it has to be filled by only the principal applicants. That's TR to PR. That's the mandatory form. Again, I've already discussed. So you just have to fill up the requirements here, put your knock, make sure that you should be accurate in number of hours. So in case if you have been working with current company over here, maybe like for last 6 months, just put the date over here till date. So you mention the date today, number of hours, then hours per week, whatever the hours. Like even if you're working for 20 hours, just put that. Even if you're working for 20 hours and 15 hours with both the companies, for say if somebody is working with Walmart at the same time he's working as a security guard at Calgary airport, he can put the date, the time when he actually joined, and then and then hours per week. For say at Walmart you're working for say 20 hours per week, so you just put 20 hours here. Then Walmart, employer name, NOC, again your designation. If you're working as a cashier, you can always go and check out the link over here. Here, so it's cashier 6611. Put the knock over there and then move on to the next position, like the position you're working as a cashier. Now in the second, if you're working at the same time with Calgary airport, just put the date of joining and then 2 and number of hours. So if you're working for 15 hours or maybe like 10 hours, just put that over here, and or maybe like 20 hours, you can always put that here. And then employer name, like Calgary airport, and then NOC. So if you're working as a security guard, we can just go here and then scroll it down, and you can look for the NOC you will be falling in here. Now as per this list, you just have to fill up the information for the security guard here. Security guard is actually 6541. That's what I remember. Yeah, it's so 6541 security guards. Now, a lot of people also have confusion, like if I'm working as a security supervisor. So guys, make sure that your job duty should match with this profile. And I'll be discussing towards the end just to cut that. So after that, you just fill it up and then save the form, put your signature over here, date, and you're good to go. This is how it has to be filled. All right, now after that, once you're done with the forms, in case if you have to show your travel proof, please submit that document. So I'm actually giving you the details step by step or what all documents has to be submitted. Now, things to remember, please do not print the 2D barcode form and do not use the signature panel button at the top of the application. Save the form on your computer in place where you remember with the file name, for say the one which you can be easily accessed, and put it in a drive like F drive or C, whatever works for you. Upload the forms and then you can just follow the instructions. You can enter your name and answer a security question. This is electronic signature. That's it. Now move on to the proof of authorization to work. So that's the second set of document they were asking. So you can always provide the work permit or whatever the proof you have or you're allowed to work in that particular area. Now, proof of your both current and qualifying work experience. Now, that would include your employment letter, what you've received from the current employer, then the reference letter. I did share the format here. So this is the format of reference letter. Everything is available here, but this is one video where you don't have to go anywhere. So, or don't have to look for previous videos. So you can just follow the format to whom it may concern. This is certified. You can always take the screenshot of this and number of hours per week, part-time, full-time, just be specified onto that in the role designation. I've explained it in the previous, so I'm not going to take too much of time here. Now, in case of non-availability of reference letter, please get the affidavit from your coworker. Always attach your pay stubs for at least 3 to 4 months, guys. Now, a lot of people had confusion. What if you have been working with two companies at the same time? Please get the pay stubs from both of them. Also, from the previous organization. So, for say, if somebody is working for say 4 months at a warehouse, he did have an experience as a customer care with the previous company for more than 6 months. Now, do they need pay stubs? Yes, you need pay stubs because you have to justify or you have to prove the work experience as per the requirement what they are looking for. So they are asking for 1 year of work experience. So you need to validate that by providing your documentation. Then notice of assessment, T4 forms from CRA. Now the T4 forms CRA is required in case if you're not able to generate the pay stub. So I would recommend whatever the documents you can get, please do that in one go. And you still have enough time, 50% application still not there. So in case, now make sure to attach the supporting documents from your previous employer. So if you have any kind of issue in justifying your work, you can always get the previous like a supporting document. For say if there are companies where people are not able to get the reference letter, so in that case you can always get a note, like you can always get it from your coworker, and you can always mention as per the norms of the organization you're not allowed or we are not allowed to get the letter from the so and so company, so just get it done. Now, proof of entry and status in Canada, in that you have to provide the proof of your study permit or your work permit with your application. So it would be again a good boost to your application. Now, proof of your language proficiency, you have to get the English test from IELTS or CELPIP in general. Make sure your document should be translated in English. That is again required here. Please attach the explanation letter, like wherever you need to clarify the status. Now, in case of medicals, I did cover it earlier, just going to read it in one go. If you've already completed IME, you don't need to do it, but you have to provide these documents, information printout sheet and IMM 1017B upfront medical report form. If you've never completed an IME, then of course you have to follow this. If you have never completed, you should complete the exam before you apply or as close as possible to the date you submit on your application. So in case you can book an appointment with a doctor, submit the schedule slip, like proof that a medical appointment is scheduled, including the name of the panel physician and the date and the time of the appointment, along with the explanation letter. That's mandatory. Now, police clearance certificates again. you don't need to provide upfront. I did cover in my previous video in details, just an overview. In case if you have already gone through police clearance certificates, you don't need that. In fact, if you are residing over here in Canada, you don't need that again. You and your family member don't need to give us police clearance certificates for any time period before you were 18 years of old or the time you spent in Canada. Now, in case if you're applying for police clearance certificates and still things are not matching up, I did share the format. You can always write to the visa officer. This is the format you can follow. This is with reference to my application for TR to PR. Please be informed that I have made the request for PCC with BLS. Try to get it through BLS, please. Following are the steps I have followed. So I did cover it in my previous video. These are the steps, and just send it across with your applications. Now, next is you have to submit the scanned copies of the original documents. Please keep that in mind. Police certificate must be scanned copies of the original certificates in color. Okay. Now, if you need a request letter, then this is for certain countries. So for India, I'm sure there wouldn't be any problem. But you can always go and check the website for other countries here. Photo requirements, like you have to upload a photo of each member of your family, whether accompanying or not. Now, a lot of people had confusion. I'm married, but I don't want my spouse to be here at the moment. Or I'm married. I don't want to, she or he might not be accompanying me at this time. I would recommend please submit all the documents. In case if you don't do that, I'm afraid that you'll have a hard time in sponsoring your family members. So just make sure that you submit all the documents. Now, photos must have been taken within the last 6 months before your application is submitted. Digital photos are acceptable. So the front size of a physical photo can also be scanned and uploaded. Now, when you submit the document like the photos, I would recommend please write the name with the black, sorry, with the name. You put the name and date of birth at the back along with the passport number, so there won't be any chance of misplacement, just in case. That's what we used to do earlier also. Now, the pay the fees. So then you have to pay the fees over here. Now, this processing fee is actually non-refundable, and the right to permanent residence fee is refundable. So you can just see that you must pay right to permanent residence fee when you submit your application as outlined in the public policy. Now, as a rule, in express entry, you're not supposed to pay RPR, like right to permanent residence fee, at the initial stage. It was supposed to be asked at the later stage. However, in this TR to PR, a lot of things are different, so they are asking in one go. However, if your application is rejected, this money is refunded. Even if your application has not been touched by the visa officer and for some reason you decide that, okay, I don't want to go ahead with my application, even the whole money would be refunded. That's mentioned on the website also. All right, so this is biometrics fees. Again, this is for $85 per person and $170 for the family, for two people. You need to pay the fee by following the instruction. You need to have a valid email address, a credit card or a Canadian debit card. That obviously would be there. If you're submitting an application, that's for paper application. So now, do not exit without saving the receipt. That's mandatory. The printed receipt is your proof of payment. That may be asked. So just keep that thing in mind. At the end, don't forget to click on the save button to save a PDF copy of the IRCC official receipt. Always upload a copy of this receipt to your online application when asked. Now, additional fees would be whenever you're getting through the medical examination, your police certificates, your language assessment, even your educational credential assessment. That's the additional, apart from what it's covered up. Now, then you have to log in and upload all the forms to the online intake portal. Now, guys, I have covered a whole video how you can upload it. So just follow that and then follow the instructions. Now, what happens after that? Now, once it's through the completeness, once you have submitted all the applications, IRCC officer would actually review your application, would check whether each and everything is at par what you're saying, and they would be matching. Whatever you're writing over here in IMM 0008 form, it should be in sync with what the documents you are submitting. You have to be very careful, guys. Please make sure there should not be any gap. Whatever you are explaining, just be in detail and explicit, so there won't be any problem over here. So in addresses also, it should be in sync with your educational background, your work experience, your personal history. So it has to be aligned with what you have done. And if it is satisfied, your application, if any document is missing, of course they would ask you. And in case if you're not able to do that, it would be negative. However, in case if any non-mandatory document, and as explained in the previous video also, so any non-mandatory document is required, they would always ask you that, please send us this document. Now, mandatory would be, again, you have to have the IELTS at the beginning of your applications. I'm a 0130 form, that TR to PR with all the other application forms. This has to be submitted along with the fees, of course. And these are the once you are through, then when your application is received, you will be sent an email. It will notify you and provide you with the IRCC application number, and that's, we used to call it as file number during the time when there was a paper based process. So this is an acknowledgement. Remember that it doesn't mean that, it doesn't guarantee you that you will get the permanent resident. Now, it would set out the basic instructions for contact with IRCC office processing your file. It'll just give you a brief about the future processing steps. During this time also, they would give you a dedicated intake portal that does not automatically link your application to online account. So they would therefore highly recommend you to link your application. The instructions again are on the website. So when you go on this link your application, you will be able to generate the sign in with your GC key. And I have already covered that, but I'll do that again for in case if you need that information. Now, when they review your application would go through again the detail, scrutiny by IRCC visa officer. And once it's through, then definitely you will get the permanent resident status. Okay, and then you will be asked to follow all the instructions, like send all the documents and information IRCC has asked, and then pay and for your application and biometric fees if required. Now, biometrics is actually valid for 10 years. In case if you've already gone through it, you don't have to do it. However, in case if you've not done it, or for some reason visa officer wants you to do it, then definitely you just have to follow the instruction. It's not a big deal. So they will give you nodal centers, and you just have to get it through by paying the substantial amount of money. And then you have to tell us, you have to tell them the mailing address, telephone numbers, and fax and everything. And that's how it has been processed. That's a journey of almost now how many months. So usually the total process shouldn't take more than 3 to 5 months, depending upon application to application, right? Because over here, if you see, there's international students who actually has got PR within 1.5 months. So not everybody is getting through. You got to understand every application is different. Every visa officer is different. Each and every one will have a different perspective through your to your application. For some, they may ask you to submit the documents. Sometimes visa officer may be doubtful and he might reject in case if he's not convinced your application. So guys, my recommendation would be, and based upon my experience with this industry for thousands of cases, please make sure that submit all your documents in one go with thorough understanding. Recheck your documents twice, thrice, or whatever the time period you can, and in one go. Now let's cover the NOCs over here. You can always check the NOCs over here by just typing in the number. For say if you're applying under customer service representative, just by type 6551 and you will get 6551 and you will get through this. And I did cover in my previous video, so in case if you're not gone through it, you can just go through it like now. And when you see that, okay, I'm working with the TD Bank for say as a customer service representative, these are my job duties and I think I'm good to go ahead with that. So you can approach your employer and ask him, can you please provide me with the reference letter. So in case if they're ready to do it, just put your job duties over here, like here, description of your job duties point wise, and get it test like by your employer. It has to be on the letterhead of the company, so just make sure that. So TD's letterhead, and then you're good to go. Okay. Now there are a lot of people also had confusion. So the requirement again is like 1 year of work experience, and it can be 20 hours per week, or it could be 30 hours per week. But if you see work in excess of 30 hours per week over a shorter period cannot compensate for any shorter overall period of experience. So just guys keep that in mind. It doesn't mean that you don't have to demonstrate the number of hours what you're working at. And I have been saying from day one, be explicit, put all the hours because that's what you're working for. And then visa, let visa officer decide upon your application. Also, for those who are on leave, make sure that you go through this instructions. Like, for example, a 2 week period of paid vacation leave within a given 52-week period in which the applicant was engaged in qualifying work experience. So you are good to go. You don't need to worry about that. Okay. So just keep all the instructions out there, and I have already explained it in details. So I hope I have been able to clarify all your doubts. Now, in case if you have any confusion, please write back to me. And guys, please subscribe to my channel for future updates, because I have covered a lot on this and I'll be covering a lot in future. So yeah, stay safe and take care and stay connected. Bye.